Get down tonight. Get down tonight. Get down tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Social Ninjas podcast. I also did this because Kyle's microphone wasn't working. We have a beautiful special guest. However, before we get there, I want to introduce my co-host, Kyle.
What is up? I assume my mic isn't working earlier or something. Hopefully it's working now.
It wasn't working earlier. Celebrate. Let's have another celebration in mind for you. We have a special guest, Avi Arya.
What is up, gentlemen?
Wah, wah, wah. So not. What's up? What's up? Thanks so much for coming on the Social Ninjas podcast.
Not at all. Thank you very much. The pleasure is all mine. Fantastic being here with you guys.
Aw. Thanks, Avi. You're the best. Oh, I'm gonna cry. So for the human beings who don't know who you are,
Avi Arya, father of 2 girls, 6 dogs, husband to a superwoman, a streetcar racer turned hotelier, now social media marketer and founder of Internet Moguls.
That was the most well put together and quick introduction I've ever heard. That was very practiced. That was awesome.
Thank you very much.
So I heard you say streetcar racer, and that, can you tell me more? That automatically just like popped out in my mind.
100%. And that was the idea. That was the hook. I wanted you to pick on that. Thank you very much for doing that. So when I was 18 years old, I live in Vancouver, Canada now, but when I was 18 years old, born and brought up in New Delhi, India, all I wanted to do in life was to race streetcars. Dad used to go to sleep. I used to sneak out the car keys from under his pillow, race with random strangers on the streets and make some money on the side. And then eventually every Friday and Saturday night, we used to have races to make sure that there are no authorities bothering us. And we used to do some races. And that was a lot of fun. And I wanted to go to the UK to learn streetcar racing. But Dad lost everything in his business. We had to sell the house. We had to sell a lot of stuff. And it was still okay for me. But when he said we have to sell the car, the only car that he had, that was the end of my race car journey. And he didn't have the money to send me overseas to study. And so streetcar racer turned hotelier because I joined my dad's business. He had a small motel and I started my own journey as a hospitality person from there. And then I started my own company called Internet Moguls, and therefore streetcar racer turned hotelier, now social media marketer.
wow. So basically, I saw you in the Fast and Furious movie.
That is the 45 kilo lighter version of me. That's correct.
I'm just jumping in.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go, Kyle.
No, you get. Okay. What was the like mental shift for you from going to, wanted to race the streetcar to going to working in your father's motel? What was that like for you?
The first thing was that I felt enslaved, and that had a lot of my dad. I would give my dad a lot of credit for creating a system that would make me feel enslaved, which meant I would have to reach there at no later than 7 a.m., but there was no time to go home. There were no weekends, no Christmas, nothing. You had to go take your girlfriend out. There's no option. So I felt completely trapped, and I knew the only way out was to earn my dad's respect, and that would only come if I created some revenue. And so that's how we got an opportunity. One day there was an international tourist. He paid us in Dutch guilders, which was the currency of Holland before the euro was introduced. And we converted that money. It turned out to be double Indian rupees. And I'm thinking to myself, what if I'm able to convert all 27 rooms into international tourists? Then I double the income, double the family revenue, and then maybe become a star in my dad's eyes. So that's how I was like, how should I do this? During that time, there was a new phenomena on the market called the internet. Now, this was a sophisticated system that would allow you to connect with people in different parts of the world. I connected with people. They told me how a chat forum works from a chat forum, how a website works from a website, how to get queries. And then that started my journey. And we were the first ever budget motel in the country. The first, not amongst the first one to go live on the internet, first to have a website, and which meant that the business, it took me about 1.5 years to do all of this. And I had no idea what I'm doing. Like Steve Jobs says, the dots connect looking back. So at that time, I was just trying to get out of this whole not being my own boss kind of a thing. And we discovered the internet, created a couple of websites. Nothing worked for a few months, and then some queries started coming in. I didn't even know. That was my first interaction with electronic mail. I didn't even know if there's a real human being on the other side. Till on the 15th of December, my first family of 4 people from Europe landed in. No, sorry, they were Americans. They landed in, and they came in, stayed in India for 14 days and paid us $400. And that completely changed. And I knew that this internet thing works, and I quadrupled down on that. And in the long story, but after lots of failures and some successes, lots of failures, some successes, then lots of failures, then some successes, in 5 years, we were able to, we bought 4 small properties, 20 rooms, 21 rooms. These were not mammoth hotels, but they were still properties that we bought with the revenue that we were getting in. So 5 years, we dominated the market.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Kyle, I think we have a new person for our marketing. An additional, because Kyle does marketing. I want to dive in. Like, what kind of mindset do you practice on a daily basis and just in the past to go from where you were to where you are now?
You know what? I'm so glad that at your age, I'm assuming both of you are in your 20s, and you talk about mindset. So earlier than 2017. Sorry, Kyle.
No, I'm in my 20s. I was just laughing because Jeremy's in his 30s.
Oh, okay. For people who can hear, Jeremy looks not a day older than 25. So, yeah, there we go. So, I'm glad that you talk about mindset, because mindset is like a thermostat, and a thermostat can be regulated. Unfortunately, at that age, I didn't know that a thermostat could be regulated. I was driven by external circumstances. That too is a mindset shift, but I allowed the outside minds to shift my inside. I needed to get out of this situation from a streetcar racer kind of a mental spirit. I was now locked down and wearing a tie and going to a hotel. It was not me. I wanted to break out. It took me 10 years to work with my dad, show multiple successes. Then finally, there was a company called TripAdvisor and Google, and then a company called Facebook. These companies came into India. Just during that time, some of these companies invited me to speak on stage because they had one aim in mind, which was to have small businesses understand how the internet works. And I was a small business success story. So as you can see, if I get an opportunity to speak, I never say no. So I said yes to the opportunity. I went on various stages. And when I went on those stages, people said, I love your story. Can you help us do this for ourselves? And that's where I saw the opportunity of getting out after 10 years of continued success. But I still wanted to get out and be my own person, not wear a suit and tie, and to go to the office, have my own office, have video games everywhere. So I then started a digital marketing agency in 2009. Riding high on the confidence of my past 2 successes, the only name I could think of was Internet Moguls. Booked the domain name internetmoguls.com, hired 4 random strangers, had no idea about their skills. They just like those people. Started a company called Internet Moguls. And then in 11 years, we grew from 4 to 225 people working for 700 clients in 10 countries. Now I have a video game arcade in my office, like 4 big ass video games, and there's a Twitch studio and all of those things. And not because it helps me with hiring better talent or whatever, but it allows me to relive the 18 to 28 that I missed out on while I was working with my dad. I missed out on those days. So when I go to the office, it doesn't feel like work for the most part. I've recreated that because I still haven't really lived the days that are the way I thought I would. So that's a little bit of a mindset that I always try to remain. I've got 2 girls, 6 dogs. I've got responsibilities. I've got a huge army of people who I need to support and take care of. But the mindset that I like to keep is of that 18-year-old boy who wants to still prove to his dad. I still speak to my dad every day in the morning. He's 72 years old. He works very hard as an entrepreneur, and he's still not happy with what I'm doing. So I keep that boyish spirit. I still wear my favorite 27 number. This was what I wanted to put on my car if I ever had a street car. And this is the number I wanted to put. I didn't get that car, so I put it on my jacket. So I keep myself. My mom calls me careless. I like to say carefree. If I lost an iPhone 10 years ago, she'd call me careless. The fact that I did not cry or mope for more than 2 minutes on my iPhone allowed me to tell myself I'm carefree and not careless. It's already gone, right? So that's the mindset that's helped me, I think.
I love it. That's awesome. Um, so can you tell us more? I'm interested in kind of what's your relationship like with your dad? I know you said earlier that you were, trying to build a revenue to kind of earn his respect. And obviously it seems like you have a lot of respect for him. You call him every single day. What's your guys' relationship like?
Yeah. So relationship is, I guess, two men with two alpha males will always have an underlying friction. But when I say that, and I say that to myself every time, and I'm saying I'm being so petty when I say that, because when he's got his own business that I helped scale, but he runs it himself now with my mom. I've got my own business that he supports me with as a mentor, but I scaled on my own. But somewhere we're intertwined. We've got that help. We've not. But when I have a problem, my dad will do everything to find a solution before tomorrow morning. If my dad has a problem, I'll say, I'll do my best to help you. So a father is always the father. He's always a giver. He's always thinking about, he won't tell you, here, I'm going to give you an answer by tomorrow morning, because he doesn't want you to be weak and think that somebody else is going to support you. My dad's view of the world is that the world is a harsh place and you have to do everything on your own. While on the side, he's the softest man and he's tried to help me, maybe through my mom or somebody or the other. And we keep that relationship. I try my best to put the phone down every time by saying, Dad, I love you. Sometimes he doesn't respond. Sometimes he says, I love you, and I don't respond because, there's an underlying tension. But I know there will be a day when I won't get a call from him ever again. And I want to have less regrets then.
Wow. The quote that comes to mind right now is "Embrace the friction."
Embrace the friction. I love that. I wrote my first book many years ago after after we bought the hotels and everybody was talking about the poster boy of internet marketing, and I kept looking at my dad like, they're talking about me, your son, and he was like, this is very short lived. We already have to eye on the future. Forget what people are saying. Don't let that go to your head. So I wrote a book because nobody else was giving me credit. I had to write my own book for my 10 family members. It's called The Accidental First Mover. The accident, because I had no idea. The accidental first mover was my story. The first chapter of the book, gentlemen, is called Staying Close to the Router. And I say that we are all devices and our parents are routers. Our families routers. Our best friends, whoever you call family, they're routers. Now, the closer a device is to a router, the more it gets connected to the internet. The more bars you have, the more information, the heavier files you can download, and you can access information about who? About yourself. The world today goes to mentors, coaches, gurus around the world and say, help me. And the guru says, okay, I'm going to give you a 10-page query form, fill up all the information about yourself. And we lie through that query form for the most part, because we've always lied to ourselves. Human beings do that. But when you talk to your parents or your family members, they'll show you the mirror. This is who you are. Maybe they have a crude way of saying it. Avi, you can't get up before 12 in the morning and you want to change the world. I don't want to hear that ever again, and I don't want them to say it in front of other people. So therefore, I'll reduce my conversations with my parents. I'll stop calling them because they show me the mirror for the most part. But after I became a parent, I realized just by becoming a parent, it's a biological act. There's nothing else in that. You learn to become a parent as your child grows. There's no manual. You buy a $50,000 C-Class Mercedes or a $3 million Ferrari. It comes with a manual. The parenting doesn't come with a manual. So cut them some slack and allow them to make mistakes and become a parent with you. They're becoming a parent as you're growing. So stay close to the router. Yes, they may impose some fears on you. It's a good idea to get a good job, get a good degree before you become an entrepreneur, because what if your entrepreneurial venture fails? You'll have the degree to fall back on. I don't think there's anything wrong. when they say that. But now it's cool to say screw your parents and screw school and let's get into this. If your parents are only trying to build a plan B for you, and I don't think that's wrong. So many times people don't understand this. So my message always is stay close to the router. You don't have to stay in the same house. You don't have to talk every day. You don't have to say I love you, dad, every day. Stay close, stay connected. You will benefit more than them.
So do you still wake up afternoon?
You know what? I don't remember waking up later than 5:36 in the morning ever. I do my first webinar in the morning for 500 people every single morning at that time. So I've blocked I made my schedule in such a way that I don't allow. I know I grew up a very lazy person. I didn't want to do it, but at 18 everything shifted. But that doesn't mean my habits have shifted, because 18 is too late to shift your habits. But now I put in interviews, podcasts, webinars, meetings with clients. I follow Robin Sharma. He says, plan your next week. And I've planned my next week in such a way that when I'm feeling lazy or I don't feel like going to work or I feel like sleeping or having a late night, I cannot, because the calendar is already booked.
I like that. Kind of going back on what you were saying about the mirror, is there something maybe in the past or maybe something that you're still working on right now? It's like, I don't want to admit that to myself, that be a truth.
Sure. The fact that I have an extremist nature, that either I'll work 24 hours for the next 15 days and I'll take a few days off. So that extremist nature can come in the, for every new project, like I'll work very hard and then I'll go unwell. I'll be, because I'm working so hard, and then I'll take 10 days off. And that's not how anything should run. My mom always tells me, there's a keyword. She's always, everything okay? I'm like, yeah, all is good. Remember balance? I'm like, I remember, mom, I remember. I'm 44 years old. We still have those conversations. So yeah, I'm working on all of this, and I'm very grateful that I speak to my parents and they remind, I allow them to speak to me, to speak to their firstborn the way they want to. I know if I put in restrictions, I won't get the guidance. Then I'll go out and I'll keep looking for coaches and mentors where I have the best at home.
Wow. I like to argue that you can always, there's a mirror there, but you can always shift who you are by just practicing a new way of living.
100%. I'm saying, do what you want, but listen to everyone. I'm listening to what my parents are saying here. I'll listen to Gary Vaynerchuk. I'll be listening to
Social Ninjas.
Social Ninjas. Exactly. I was just going to say that. Listen to Social Ninjas. Learn from everywhere, and some things will come at the right time. Some things will come immediately. Other things will come at the right time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like you just went for it. I'm gonna do my mission. I feel it. You went with your gut, and even though you didn't really know where it was headed, you just trusted.
You know what? It sounds all very, very cool when I say it the way I say it. I'm also a trained public speaker, so so take that into account. If your listeners don't feel as confident as I sound on this podcast while they're going through whatever they're going through in life, let me tell you, what Steve Jobs said is so correct. Dots connect looking back. So if you are wary of the next step to take, if you're scared, if you get up anxious, if you don't know what to do, if you sometimes feel confused, remember that is normal. Everybody goes through it. There are people, we get over it, but there's nothing called no fear. There's nothing called no anxiety. There's nothing called no confusion. If on a regular basis, you as a human being don't feel that you have no idea where you're going in life, you're lying to yourself.
Wow. So on these webinars, do you help people with tips in living a more powerful life, or is this all? Is it?
No. So I teach people, I do webinars for coaches, and I help coaches get known. So we always say we help hardworking coaches become super coaches by getting known, getting leads, and getting sales through videos. So we teach them how to do videos on YouTube, videos on Instagram, videos on all of that. And but because I'm an eternal optimist. So when I talk to them, the way I talk, the way I converse, it does tell them how to live life and not worry and no fear and all of that.
So I'm curious, do you have any morning rituals or routines or maybe evening ones that you practice on a daily basis to,
Yeah.
keep your mental health at an optimal
Yeah.
level?
Yeah. So having dogs at home keeps your mental health in check. They're just so amazing. Having kids at home, I've got two lovely daughters, they're 14 and 11, helps me with my mental health. My wife sometimes helps me with my mental health. Sometimes she's the reason for me going mentally crazy. But I think she'll say the same if you interview her. But she's still my superwoman. And coming back home to a house full of people who care about you is and I tell them, I make it a point, not every day, but I tell them. I mean, I'll hug my children. I tell my wife, I say, you know what? Have I told you as many times that I love you? And sometimes it's difficult because you have these underlying tensions with everybody. We all there's some friction or something. But I go past that and I say it, and it helps. And recently I did a crazy thing. It was New Year's Eve, and my in-laws and my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law and their entire family, they were all visiting Vancouver from different parts of the world, and we all had a couple of drinks at night, and I had a script ready for everyone. I said, I don't know why this event is so it's such bliss, so many people from different parts of the world. I don't know if this will happen again. So I want to say something to all of you, which I've never said before. And I had one page written for everyone. And I read out to them how much they meant to me or whatever. Things that you normally don't say. There was no reaction on their faces. Next morning, somebody said, I loved it. My mother-in-law cried. My daughter said, this is an amazing way of doing it. So I didn't get the reaction that I was looking for, to be very honest. But I feel amazing for telling all the people that I love how much I love them. And so now coming back to your daily ritual, I practice yoga now, and I practice spending time with myself. And till a few months ago, I used to do goal setting and visualization and all of that. It's great. But when I close my eyes and say, this is what I want to be, and this is how my coaching program is going to be running, and this is where I'll be with my kids, and it only caused stress because I was like, oh my God, I have so much to do. So it was never a relaxing experience. Now I just meditate and just say, you know what? So far, everything has been fine. Just take care of me, whoever's up there. And so that is one ritual that I do everything. And you must spend 1 hour on yourself, either kickboxing or cycling or something which tires you out every day, because you need to, sweetly punish your body every day. That's the only way that it works.
I want to go back. I want to go back to those letters you were talking about that you wrote to your family individually. I mean, just if I was thinking about doing that myself, that would make me extremely anxious to do,
Exactly.
especially with certain people. I want to know more about that.
So there's a website called greygoose.com. If you order some stuff from there, that definitely helps with the anxiety. It's uh, so we did have a few vodkas before we got into that conversation, to be very honest. But I knew that the regret of not saying what I wanted to say to the people who cared, who meant a lot to me, would be much greater than this anxiety that I'm feeling during this time. So, and like Gary Vaynerchuk always says, and I've had the opportunity to meet Gary multiple times, and I have sat down with him, had multiple discussions. The two things I've learned from him are always, when I'm sitting with him, he makes me feel like the most important person in the world. And the other thing is, he always says the right thing is the right thing is the right thing. So if it's the right thing, then it needs to be done.
So is there something that like sparked you to want to do that, or is just something random, or?
No, I just felt that family getting together from different parts of the world may never happen again.
Mhm.
Uh, and how can we have how can we leave with so many unsaid emotions? And I want to say so much to them. I don't want to be drunk when I'm saying I love you, like we all do, to whoever even strangers. But I do. I wanted to actually have a conversation with them and tell them that, this is what, for my father-in-law, who was very, 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 well, let me say, not kind to me the first few years. I told him, I said, but I always looked up to you the way I did. And I knew that I'm going to make my way to love you because you're such a amazing guy with everybody else. And I was like, one day you're going to be an amazing guy with me, and now you are, and thank you very much for being that. And these are the three amazing things that you did. And he's like, I never thought you thought of me like an amazing guy. I'm like, yeah, you are. You always were, but not just with me. Today, now you're an amazing guy with me as well. And my brother-in-law is a very smart financial wizard. So I told him, I said, I look up to you the way you take care of your finances and how you take care of your clients and all of that. And you have zero airs about yourself and who you are and how much you've achieved. And I know that you're one of the top 3 people on the planet. If I call you that I've got a problem, you'll drop everything and you only think about how you can help me. So there are very few people who can do that. And please, please always remain the way you are. And then I said good things to my wife as well. And I was like, and then to my kids, and I didn't get around to the dogs, but everybody else I covered. Super powerful exercise. I can tell you that. I feel so. But it's not that I've done it. It's like, oh, I've done. It needs to be done again and again. It's not for them. Trust me, it's for you.
Yeah, I'm super intrigued. I want to do this. What would be some tips for me or anybody listening that wants to do that, and how to just make that first step?
Well, like I said, prepare them and yourself for it, and say, let's have I said, let's have dinner tonight, and I'll organize the dinner for everyone tonight, and we'll play the dumb charades or whatever. But in between, we'll take a 10-minute break because I want to say something to you. So it doesn't come as a surprise. People are ready, and I want to say, and so for me to feel less anxious, I'll give away a few things. I say, I just want to say how you made me, how you're so special. And it's almost like reading out a Christmas card to you and not just writing it down. And so I give them some hints so that I feel less anxious, not because they were anxious. They were all fueled up with their vodkas and champagne. So they enjoyed the show pretty much.
Sounds like we have a Social Ninjas challenge.
Yeah, 100%. I've already committed to it now. Hold me accountable, audience. If I don't do it, if you don't hear me doing it,
No.
you email us out.
I hear you. Avi hears you.
100%.
That's true. All right, I'm doing it.
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
Avi, if you had one message for the world, what would that message be?
My message would always remain the same. The 3 people who, if they vanish tomorrow, would shatter you completely, while they are there with you, hug them as tight as possible every single day and tell them you love them for who they are.
Wow, I love it. So, Avi, for people wanting to connect with you, learn more about what you do and follow you on the social media, all that good stuff, where can they find you at?
I love my Instagram right now. Instagram is where I am jamming every day. It's Ask Avi Arya, AskAviArya. And I'd love to connect with the both of you there as well. We can do that right now after the show, whatever. Ask Avi Arya, AskAviArya on Instagram.
I just followed you.
Lovely.
All right. Well, that is the end of today's show. We will see you all next week on the Social Ninjas Podcast.